All right, so today's video, we are watching a Diamond 4 support on PS5 playing Juno, Brig, and Kiriko on King's Row. And they say this game was painfully long. I was pretty optimistic about winning this game, but not too long after losing first point. The enemy tank swapped a ball. This is where it all goes downhill. We were constantly getting harassed by that rodent, and no one was doing anything about it. I tried swapping Brig, but that didn't work out, unfortunately. What more could I have done to counter this ball and win the game? To top it all off, we had DPS players whining in our ears about the lack of healing when they weren't even trying to counter their tank. I'm currently in low diamond in all roles, but find myself struggling if the match ranges to masters. What can I do to improve? Would appreciate your advice, or really appreciate your advice. Love your videos. Have a good day. All right, let's find out. I mean, Wrecking Ball can be tough to play against. I think, you saying you went Brig was probably the correct choice to begin with, but we'll see what happens. We don't really know like what to expect, so we'll just kind of lock in and see and go from there. So obviously you're starting on Juno, which is totally fine here. Only problem I see here is your team's on a different like pacing already. Like your Ryan was up close, but your team was fine. You got a kill. Everything's fine there, so that's the start you look for. Wasn't clean, but your team gets a choke to start. Now everybody else in your team is pushing up, which is pretty much what you hope for here. To kind of play at the pace of your Rhine, rather than like give up a ton of space. So that's good. Okay, one thing I want to say about these speed rings, I love that you're being proactive with them, but I want you to think about why the speed ring will be good for your team at the time. Just to kind of show this, I think this is a good start on this already. See the speed ring here? The speed ring location's fine, but the idea of your speed ring is to help protect your team and help them be aggressive. At this point where they're at, no one's going to be aggressive. You don't want your Reinhardt pushing past a choke, right? Oh, look at the little baby Ryan shield with the googly eyes on it. The idea is that you put a speed ring so that way you can kind of like disengage out a little bit or like engage in. So you need to wait for the right time. And so the speed ring, while you have the idea of using it more aggressively, you want to make sure you're using it in the right spot. Now, when they haven't even gotten through the choke yet, now you would want your speed ring at a certain time, right? Now you would speed ring right now. See? That's what the speed ring time would be to go for the Sigma. The Reinhardt can be aggressive, be fast. And then if the Rhine chooses not to be aggressive with it, well, that's on the Rhine. Big slam alert right there. Nice job. See what I mean? So just be a little bit careful on like using the speed ring like that, but I do love that you're using it aggressively. Now we just got to find out the right types of aggression with it. But that's a small note, and that's like the least of your worries, but why not, why not showcase that now before the Wrecking Ball swap eventually does happen, which we know is a part of the problem in this game, and like how do you deal with that Wrecking Ball? So. And then you won a bunch of games, it's awesome. That's kind of your Cassidy was just out of position. Trying to get the heals in your team. Perhaps running to your Rhine, which is not suggested. Yeah, this is right here, by the way, you kind of were the only one who, outside of your Rhine, who had the correct position in there, so that's just one of those, everybody in your team had bad position, you couldn't keep up with it, and everybody got picked off one by one. Not really, like, like, it just happens in Overwatch sometimes. Position just isn't as good, and that's what happens, so, yep. That's a big slam alert again. Nice. That Ryan's playing very well. Only problem I see now is no one's going to the point. Yep. So, in that situation, I know there's a Bob on point, but, like, I was going to let that play out. You need to try to go to the point there, and I know it sucks because of the Bob, but all you need to do is get to the point for a tenth of a second, and then you're fine, and you win that team fight. They may even get you there, but, like, it's definitely worth, in my opinion, it's worth the risk of going for the point there with the Bob to guarantee you get the point because you got enough of limbs, right? It wasn't like your team got one limb and then like you're like, okay, fight's over. I think your team had 3 limbs. At that point, I would still be okay with you trading out just to guarantee your Ryan gets to the point because I think your BAP was still alive at that point. If they weren't, that's on me, but like, give yourself opportunity to hold that. It's a tough spot though because like you don't know the time is on Ryan. I would go to the point there. Just for like even a tenth of a second. That's more than enough time. Well, not more than enough, but you know what I mean. I don't be afraid to use the Juno ultimate here, the orbital ray. Pretty much the moment you see the Sigma out of position, I think that's where you want to do it. You don't want the Sigma to be able to disengage. You would probably do it now if you wanted to. Even then, like, yeah, that's fine. Yep, you're just trying to back away to get healed up a little bit, I see. Good rock by Sigma. You're the only support now. Big slam alert by your Rhine. Question is, can you heal your Rhine, though? Good job. Good job by your Ryan, too. Very, very well played by your Ryan. Your Ryan's playing well. This has been a good Ryan game, so I can see why they're eventually have to swap off and do other stuff, because, like, you're doing a solid job of keeping your Ryan alive, and your Ryan isn't really even hard feeding. Like, their HP's low, but that was, like, because it was low from the beginning. And sometimes it's okay if your Ryan takes a little bit extra damage, right? Like, the other team eventually is going to max out their ults anyway. So, at that point in the game, your Reinhardt is only helping you build your support ults more, too, when they're taking a little bit extra damage. That's why sometimes it's good to be, like, one of those... As a tank, it can be really good to be aggressive and take a little bit of damage as long as you know, like, the limits. Because when you know that, your supports are constantly having ult charge, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but it's kind of a note that I think kind of gets forgotten about in Overwatch. If you didn't know, the ult charge on tanks is slower. So have you ever noticed sometimes when you're playing with perks now, you get your perk before your ultimate, and then sometimes you get your ultimate before your perk? A lot of that has to do with, like, if you're shooting the Reinhardt or not, or shooting, like, the tank, because the tank gives you less ult charge. They did this as a design to make it so the tanks weren't just feeding ults all the time, and also so supports weren't just building nano every 5 seconds. Like, if you ever played the 6v6, you'll probably notice you're getting nano a lot quicker, because that isn't applied to that setting. So, point being is, the Rhine doesn't feed as much charge as you could, although you still feed some charge. You still feed ult charge, just it's less than other heroes. So, anyway, hope that's helpful. All right, just look at him. Yeah, okay, you're just scanning back the like the backside of that point there. Yep. Okay, here we go. Nice. I mean, so far you can kill him with the ball. Yeah, speed ring there is okay. I was going to say, don't be afraid of speed ring that. I think your Rhine didn't get the memo, though, on your speed ring there and went in with it. I actually think your speed ring was good. You want my take? I think you could 2v3 that point there. So, no, it doesn't apply in 66 with the heal one. That's why you build your nanos pretty quickly. A lot of strategy in 6v6 days was... I mean, maybe it does apply to it. I don't know, but I don't think it does. I think they have different rules for it. But the strategy in 6v6 would be your tank just stands there, takes damage, and you just build nano really fast. So, but when I was playing 6v6, it felt like you were building nano fast again, but that also could just be an extra hero. So maybe it still applies in that, but I didn't feel like it did. I could be wrong. But yeah, not a bad hold here. Good Wrecking Ball out. Your team's kind of hacked. Your Cassidy made the right play there. So far, so good. Like, it's weird because, like you're saying the Wrecking Ball is getting a ton of value, but, like, even there, I feel like, I know, that was actually good value by the Wrecking Ball, but that also felt like your Reinhardt just backed up into the play and made it a little bit worse than it could have been, too. So it's, like, one of those, you know what I mean? Like, it could have worked the other way type of thing. But anyway, I just noticed that a little bit, too. Fine. I never realized how easily you could read the Seraphim on this weapon. Just notice that randomly. But who we're watching right now, this is Juno. He's one of the newer heroes recently, over the past, like, last year. Problem right now is, like, even, like, right now, like, you mentioned the Wrecking Ball, the Ashe on the high ground is the problem there. So, like, your teammates need to be able to contest that, which they aren't right now, so, like, that was the problem, right? It's weird. So far, the Wrecking Ball's been okay. I can see where it's been annoying to play against, but so far, your team has handled playing against this Wrecking Ball so far pretty well. It's not perfect by any means, and the Wrecking Ball has made good plays, but so far it's been okay. I would... To kind of give you an idea, and I think this is the part that might be causing problems with your team, is that your team is seeing the Wrecking Ball, and your reaction is, okay, let's stand here and watch the Wrecking Ball make plays. When in reality, if a Wrecking Ball is kind of setting up for these plays, why not push up and be aggressive? I mean, look how susceptible they are. And you're like, yeah, like, but what if the Wrecking Ball, you know, rolls through us and boops us in? Well, that might help your Reinhardt, if anything. You know, your Reinhardt has the boop reduction, but, you know, that can help the Ryan. Then you can pop your Juno ultimate. But the point I'm making it here is that your team, as a core, you're just kind of letting the Wrecking Ball go around the map forever and do whatever. And that's eventually going to lead to your team losing this, because if you want to pop Juno ultimate, what's the value you're going to get with it right away? It's just going to end up going forward, and like they're like really far back. So I think your team made a mistake of not playing aggressive, and maybe you're afraid of the ball pushing the point. Like maybe they're like, you know, you're worried about them pushing the point, but like it's okay even if the Wrecking Ball pushes us an extra 15 meters. If you win the team fight, you win the team fight, you know? So. No, Juno all time is okay. Yeah, that was like an okay timing. Wasn't amazing, wasn't terrible either. But like, see, like, your Ryan goes in and gets a kill with a charge. And this is again why I didn't want your team to give up so much space. Because now when you're retake, you're in a much, like, more, like, a much difficult position, like a worse position than your team was before, right? Now you're rushing to the point. Like, and you know, ideally, they wouldn't finish with time. So, what's the counter against ball? Big slam again on point. If you get there's no time, that'd be kind of huge. That's good. Teamwork, positioning, Brig is really good there. Ana with the sleep dart perk. Actually, thinking of that now, you said you went Brig. Wouldn't Ana's sleep dart perk make even more sense? Also, that's kind of unlucky Orion got off the cart. I think they were worried about getting to the Bastion. Kind of a miscomm there on the team. Your team lost that twice, where like you could have held the point. But like I would say like Ana with the sleep dart perk right now is actually super strong against Wrecking Ball. So if anybody doesn't understand the sleep dart perk, when you sleep somebody, like when they wake up, they're slowed for 2 more seconds. So it didn't used to be something that would help with that, but like Ana with that perk, you give up the double grenade perk, but you gain like a huge CC tool. So this is VOD number 1, and this is on PS5. So listen, they stayed in the Wrecking Ball. I want you to be careful of getting jebaited by this Wrecking Ball for a while. Like, you just be careful of, like, playing into the Wrecking Ball as much. I'm okay with that speed ring. Helps you get out, gives your Ryan a little bit of time. Good kill by teammate. Yeah, if you want to go... If you're already worried about this Wrecking Ball early on, if you want to go Brig or Ana here, you'd be in a good spot. Again, Ana is to get the sleep perk and to sleep the Wrecking Ball. Brig is to just kind of help AoE heal a lot of the poke damage that Wrecking Ball can do, and also, of course, like, you know, stunning the ball and disrupting the gameplay. So, yeah. Rank? I forgot. I like the Fire Strike glitch right there. Right there. You see it? What the heck? It just stuck there. What is this? Oh God, get to the choke just for the sake of whatever this is. Good job, Rocket Inspire. Again, for anybody, Again, for anybody like new to Brig, I want to reiterate to you, your heals are not based off of just your heal packs. I think sometimes people get caught in this loop of like, oh, it's all based off of my heal packs and all of that. It's really all the damage you do is gonna proc AoE heals. Now I think it's like what, 4 seconds now or something for Inspire, or maybe 3 seconds. And that's where you get like that right there, procs a heal. Now you can get the perk if you want to, that gives you the extra like few seconds. You get the perk that does some other stuff. Nice job killing the Genji. Also, for anybody doesn't know this, the mines proc Inspire also. So let's say a Wrecking Ball's there. Another reason why Brig can be good against Wrecking Ball is that you actually can, when you're hitting the mines, it constantly reprocs your heals. So you keep your healing going the whole time, which is another reason why Brig can be solid against Wrecking Ball. So yeah, just to make sure the perk applies to whip shot only, which is where when you use your whip shot. Yeah, I was gonna get to that, then I got distracted by the Wrecking Ball mines. But yeah, basically what it does is like that will extend it to 7 seconds, I think, or 6 seconds, whatever the timer is. I don't know the exact. It basically will extend your Inspire time when you hit your when you hit that like that right there, the flam. Don't be afraid to ult this if you. But you kind of want to wait. I don't know. This is a weird one. Okay, well played. Yeah, well played. I got nothing wrong with that. Matt, thank you for the tier 1. Thank you, Misha. Thank you. That's a good ult. Good job. Reason why that's a good ult is because you're basically preventing their team from winning the point, and they wasted window, so you're basically guaranteed no window value. I'm okay with that trade. Good job. Good first point. Thank you for the tier 1. And unlucky start. But remember, again, the Rhine gets a little bit more value here. Big slam alert because of that Wrecking Ball. Not like... The Wrecking Ball can't really help with, like, you know, that type of stuff a lot of the time. So the Rhine gets a little bit more value even if you lose a couple there, which is what happened. You lost a couple. Hey, you proc Inspire at the end there. Keep in mind, if Brig falls over, your Inspire still stays there. Yeah, the rank is Diamond. This is a Diamond game. There you go. Sorry, it took me a second. See, this very much feels like your team is just playing into Wrecking Ball and not playing into the strength of what your comp is. Basically, your team plays really passive back for a while, and the moment the Wrecking Ball came, like, into the fray, that's when your team started to struggle more because your team is just playing at the pace of the Wrecking Ball, not playing at the strength of your team. I really feel like your Reinhardt would be able to kind of move forward with your team here a bit more, and, like, right now it feels like your Rhine wants to move forward, but the rest of your team wants to, like, get distracted by the Wrecking Ball almost. So the Wrecking Ball is getting, like, infinitely more value when your team plays like that. So what I would recommend is trying to be a little bit more aggro in these situations, or, like, get your team on the same page. Because you mentioned you wanted your DPS to swap to be able to help with that. Don't get me wrong. You know, a part of helping with some like, you know, tank swaps or just tanks in general is having your DPS also help with that. I've talked about it before where, like, as a tank, you get counter-swapped all the time. And it gets even worse as a tank if the other team is willing to make the hero swaps. Like, an easy example is, like, they go Mei and your team does it, and you're playing, like, let's say Genji for, you know, and you don't have the same value, it's gonna be tough, right? So, but back to the point I'm making is that I think your team needs to get on the same page on the pacing you want to play. It feels like half the team is playing aggressive, half the team wants to chase the Wrecking Ball around, and that's where Wrecking Ball gets more value. Right there, you could have popped your ult a little bit early. I think you expected to get healed up, so I'm just gonna, I'll give that benefit of the doubt, and your team makes a good aggressive play. And this is why I'm trying to get at the point of, like, your team being aggressive. I know you ult dumped a little bit there, but look at this. Who's the only person who survived during that team fight? Will you take a look? It's the Wrecking Ball. My question is, did you win the team fight without having to kill the Wrecking Ball? That is the question we have here. And the answer to that is, well, look, your team killed 4, the Wrecking Ball can't do anything else, and you win the team fight, which is why I think your team being more proactive and aggressive is how you'll stop the Wrecking Ball here, or playing together in like as a unit. And I think that would be a lot better for your team than what we've seen so far. Again, I hope that's helpful. Here we go. All right, here we go. I would not be afraid to pop your ult if you need to here. Win the team fight. I would just do it to win the team fight. This is not the time to, I was going to say, I would have done it even sooner. I don't feel like this is like, I know you want to be safe with your ultimate and ult economy. When you are in the last team fight of a point, the ult economy will go out the window at that point. You just need to make sure, right? Like, you need to, like, you don't worry about the ult economy at that point. Like, you just win the team fight. Otherwise, I'd rather, because then you're always going, oh, I should have ulted that. We would have been fine. You win the team fight and you do it. Only reason why I say I would have done it sooner is because your BAP was definitely out of position a little bit. You could tell that they were starting to pressure your BAP. You could have helped your BAP survive that and guarantee the team fight, is all I'm saying. Okay. On to third now. Again, Wrecking Ball shouldn't get much value here if your team plays as a unit. All right? And together. I'm sorry, what just happened? I now need to see this from a different angle. I'm confused. Okay, so the Rhine's here. Did, like, their controller fall? Now I just want to see it from their point of view. Wait, what did that look like from their point of view? Yeah, the Bastion grenade, maybe? Yeah, that's what it was. The Bastion grenade hit the side of him. It didn't give it credit because, like, it was a weird, like, it didn't do damage, but it did enough to, like, boop him. That was funny. Okay, well, hey, it just happens sometimes. Unlucky. Yep. You're doing the right thing right now, waiting. Ryan's going into that room. What a weird sequence. But I think it might get a kill for your team, but then your teammate trades out. Good job interrupting the Wrecking Ball there. That's good. You're interrupting their gameplay loop there. Like, this was all you. The bash was a little bit ambitious, but remember, you can proc Inspire on mines. Yep, which is what you're doing. You clear the mines, and you're going to be healing this whole time. You can also, like, proc it, like, you can also proc your Inspire even longer if you do, like, the flail on it, too. If you're not worried about using it, like, right away. Bob will take care of the rest, so you can push Bob, yep. Very good job there. Remember, Jay, you can push the Bob forward, get up there and ult. Again, I think you're being a little bit too cautious with your ult. Pop your ult. This is it. I see, like, do you notice how it's your teammates, or you're losing teammates there? If you pop your Brig ult sooner, you probably save everybody there. So one mistake that you've made here is you're a little bit too safe with your ultimate. Also, good boot by your Lucio. I've seen you do it 2 fights in a row. It's the last team fight. You're not saving that for anything, and it wasn't a bad spot. You weren't doing it, like, preemptively. It's a diamond game. You weren't doing it preemptively, right? Like, that's the problem. So, I think in those situations, just pop that ult a little bit quicker. Play to win the team fight and, like, win the match, rather than, like, oh, I need to save this for the perfect moment, because you could have very easily lost the game at this point. All right? Thankfully, you win it. Right, you win that point, but also again with the Wrecking Ball. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this Wrecking Ball is more along the lines just distracting your team than actually, like, doing these amazing plays. Is that still there, by the way? Why is this still? What is this? Your team's not playing the same page. Okay, this is what I mean. Like, your team's on a different page. You have your, and I pointed this out when you were on Juno, that your team was, like, not playing with, like, on the same page. Like, you have your Rhine up here with, like, your Genji, and then you have the 2 supports playing back here, right? So, like, why is the split? Why aren't you up here? Why are you letting them get through the choke? Think about this, okay? Now, I want to reiterate this. You're playing against a Wrecking Ball. You know you're playing against a Wrecking Ball. Why would you let the rest of their team get through the choke easily and then let their Wrecking Ball also get space, right? Also, this Wrecking Ball looks like they are vibing against your team. Holy crap, look at that Wrecking Ball. That is just like, that is exactly what I expect from a Wrecking Ball. Anyway, but, like, why let him get to the choke? Like, play up with your Rhine. Like, this is the strength of your team. No one on their team would be able to get through here at all until the Wrecking Ball comes back, but that's going to help your team. So, again, a little bit too, like, just your team is not quite on the same page, where I think you could be on the best comp ever for a Wrecking Ball. If you play like that, it's not going to go as well, because you're so worried about, like, you're so locked in on the Wrecking Ball rather than being locked in on recognizing the rest of their team can't get through that choke easily if your team does that. So I think this is one of the, like, a classic, like, case of the your team overreacts to a hero on the other team. It doesn't mean leave the Wrecking Ball alone. It just means that all you need to do is be aggressive on their team now, and that ball is going to lose a ton of value, right? And then if you do that and the Wrecking Ball dominates your team, then you make the proper adjustments around that. But your team really hasn't even given that opportunity yet, right? There's a lot of just being distracted by a Wrecking Ball. And now your team's in overtime, and we're hitting the, oh, I need to go to the cart in 2v5s over and over again type of play style. So that's one of those, I think your team needs to reset, and you're so worried about staying near the cart that you end up getting killed because of that. And even though you're going to be like, well, I killed a Sojourn, the problem is that the rest of your team is still running back in an overtime situation. So what should have happened there is your team fully disengages out to be able to regroup for a team fight. Instead, now your team is staggered and giving up a second point for free because of overtime spawns. And even though you're spamming group up, you also, what the heck is going on in this map? Why is that there now? That was a team effort. Like, you and the Rhine and everybody should have gotten out. Like, y'all can spam regroup all day long. Well, I guess it's good to do it than not do it, but you get the point I'm making. Is like, I think you basically gave second point for free. I would recommend popping your Kitsune ASAP. If you give them any more time, the game's over. Pop that out. Pop it. Good out. Perfect. Idea here is down to pressure their back line. Good nano on their Wrecking Ball. Good reaction by their team. Big slam alert. And just like that, you win the team fight. And to show you what's happening there is you're playing aggressive on the team. You're playing aggressive, you're going in, you're making these plays. All of that is exactly how you want to do that. Very well played. If you notice, you win team fights when your team goes in. Your team loses and gets grinded down when you don't. And that's what I'm trying to save you from, is that type of, like, you just need to recognize that they don't have their Reinhardt in their team. Which apparently the Reinhardt is just at this choke, stuck here the whole... What is this? Anyway, let's go back to the attack, see how it goes. You're back on Brig. I don't mind the Brig swap here. Or I guess you're going Moira? Yeah, I think it really feels like your team put too much value into the Wrecking Ball at times. Like, the first step is... okay, let's adjust our playstyle. The second step is, okay, let's overreact to the Wrecking Ball. Or, like, let's make a bunch of swaps, which your team never actually did. So, outside of the support. I could not tell you what that whole sequence just was right there with the Ana. The Ana took the TP to shoot at the TP and then left. And no one on their team took the TP. Why was the Ana the only one to take the TP? In hindsight now. What was the play there? That there was a TP that only the Ana took the TP. Now, do you notice how your team is down in numbers here, and yet your team still has a chance to win this team fight? It goes back to what I said. If your Reinhardt and your team takes away the space of the rest of their team, actually, you end up killing 2. Now that I see this, you end up killing 2. But the point I'm making here is that your team initially was looking like it was going to lose that team fight, as you can see with all 3 running back. But your team is still able to get the space that you need because the Wrecking Ball can't control parts of the map like other tanks can. You notice how your team is still in this team fight, even though, like, from a numbers point of view, you were down here? The Rein's able to take that. That's why I keep saying, like, that's where you can be good against that comp. Again, it won't be perfect. There are going to be Wrecking Balls you will play against that will absolutely annihilate your team when you try to push their backline. But I haven't seen their Wrecking Ball go for that type of play style yet, so, like, that's where I'm like, go for their backline. Even there. Again, your Rein goes to the backline, shatters the whole team. What is the ball going to do now? Nothing. It's already over for the Wrecking Ball at that point. Every time your team pushes into the back line, it goes well. Every time your team stands there and, like, lets the Wrecking Ball get value by just standing there, it doesn't go as well because you get grinded down. So they were healing the walls. I look at that as just, like, hitting buttons. I'm not even worried about that. As long as their resource meter's staying fine, listen. Like me on Brig where I'm just spamming my APM. Although, obviously, you don't want to use as much of your resources if you're doing nothing in between. Good damage orb, that'll get some resource. You can ult this if you... I would ult, yeah. You have to ult this. This is a tough spot. Yeah, ult stacked. And there you go. That's the game. So, yeah, I really think that, like, this is one of these games where, like... Because even, like, when you went Moira there, I feel like you went Moira, but... you did it because you were worried about the Wrecking Ball, but the Wrecking Ball really wasn't disrupting your gameplay like you... I think basically your team saw a Wrecking Ball, lost one team fight to a Wrecking Ball, made a bunch of swaps around that, couldn't get everybody on the same page. I would say next time, you can't go wrong with going Brig here. You could have stayed on Juno if you wanted to, maybe promote that more aggressive play style. Even the Kiriko was fine. This was more about getting your team on the same page than it was about, like, trying to go the correct heroes for a Wrecking Ball. Even then, you could have went Ana against this comp and done the sleep perk. So you had a lot of options, and I don't think you necessarily played bad. What I'm saying is next time, I think when you play against a Wrecking Ball, think more about how can we go disrupt their team that we outside of their Wrecking Ball. And I think in a map like King's Row especially, your team has the capability of doing that with a Reinhardt. So go play that way. Don't play the I need to sit there and just deal with a Wrecking Ball the whole time. That's the value Wrecking Ball looks for. That's the value Wrecking Ball gets. Everybody thinks they're like a Wrecking Ball needs to go in and get kills, and that's the value. And if you don't, like, the way I explain it is Wrecking Ball always has perceived value where you think your Wrecking Ball's doing nothing. But if your Wrecking Ball's doing what this Wrecking Ball did, that is how you win games as a Wrecking Ball, is you distract them and you finish the game with like 2, 3, 4 deaths, right? Like that's a Wrecking Ball. That's why I always say when you play Tracer, if you play Tracer, you go in to distract, not necessarily get 5 kills. Same thing with Wrecking Ball. And then if they let you do that, then you get the kill. So anyway, I think your team just kind of over planned against the Wrecking Ball here, and I think that led to how this game went. Next time, just play more aggressive, and your hero selection was fine. And overall, you didn't play that bad either. So I would say that. You're saying that's what you're saying, why no Sombra for the ball? I can say that right now. So their team didn't want to switch Sombra for the ball. So like that's where you have to make the next adjustment of, okay, if we can't have somebody who can't play Sombra, isn't comfortable playing Sombra, you don't need a Sombra against the Wrecking Ball if you're pushing into their team on King's Row. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't need the Sombra here. Can it help? Yes, but that's going to be a different play style. If your Ryan's playing aggressive and your Genji's playing aggressive, the Sombra wouldn't make sense in the team comp at that point, because unless your Sombra plays aggressive. So if you're playing a very passive, like, you have a Sigma and you're taking your time, the Sombra makes more sense there, right? Because you're playing defensive, so the Sombra basically plays as like a third support. And then if the ball stops going in, they can go to the back line and get value there, right? So it's one of those things where in this game, you base it off your play style, you play more aggressive. That's what I'm getting at. So I think if you make those adjustments, I think your team does fine there, and you do fine. But you played overall pretty well. I saw some good play out of you. Good play. We gave you some advice on some of the heroes, and if you pick up on some of that, I think you'll continue to climb. You got this. You absolutely got this. Like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't. Leave a comment. All that helps. You want to submit your own spectating, description below. That's my Discord. Remember, no guarantee we get to everybody. We get a lot of spectatings. Hints I always give. It's about the story of the game. Things like that. We also record these live on stream. You can see the Twitch chat below the webcam. Also stream on YouTube. So stop by if you haven't. We have a lot of fun here. With that being said, hope you have an amazing day/night.